Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bregaton. Let's land with Thassera. High Fortress. This is really cool. The idea of feudal worlds in a setting like 40k has just always been really appealing to me. There's a couple books like Brothers of the Snake that showcase how a feudal world would interpret 40k technology. So planets are given certain class levels, and there's limited contact with certain planets, like feudal worlds, for instance. Now they do have servitors here, so I don't know how much their technology overlaps. But anyway, a richly dressed man riding a sinewy horse breaks off from the procession. When he approaches, you immediately notice a strange detail. The man's face is pinned to his head with precious fastenings that stretch the skin across his skull. Celestial guests, there's no higher honor for us than to extend our hospitality to such noble eminences. His Celestial Highness, the Rogue Trader, and an illustrious judicator of the Imperium. All of Thassera clamors, trembles, and cheers. Geraldo the Fair-Faced, Governor of Thassera, at your service. I thank you for the courteous welcome, Governor. However, we have come here to address a grave concern. But of course, your Celestial Highness. It would be my pleasure to discuss whatever topic you have in mind. That said, you've had such a long and perilous journey behind you. Like any self-respecting host, I must first propose. A smaller figure steps out of the rider's shadow, dressed in the motley attire of a court fool and wearing a sneering mask. My name is Bluff. I am Lord Geraldo's good mood. I tickle his governorship with well-spouted jests and itty-bitty gossip. And now, I merely doff my cap to our celestial lords and ladies and hand them this here key to Thassera as a token of our boundless loyalty. The fool bows and offers you his gift. Accept the gift. Thank you, Bluff. The fool parts with his offering and then jumps away with an irritating giggle. The key to Thassera. A large key with a Thassera coat of arms embossed on its head. Being the paragon of grace that he is, would my celestial lord, perhaps, also deign to feast his ears on the latest Thasserian gossip to go with my gift? Look at the governor. The governor's heavy gold-stitched jacket adds a certain presence to his figure, but it cannot hide how poor of a rider he is. The way his boots dig into the horse's sides, his hands fiddling with the reins, his trembling fingers, all speak of nervousness and a lack of control. Tell me your gossip then. Well, slap my grox. Fine then, listen to this. One Eye, terror of the common man, went out a-thieving one day. He sneaks into a hut, itching to fill up his sack, and what sees he? A scary big shadow on the floor. He turns around and right behind him, a giant, a monster, with hands like imperial columns. It grabs him by the throat and starts beating the air out of him like he's a ball of dough. Turns out, he's popped by Murgath's place, and she used to work the bone mill no worse than 10 men could when she was young. The fellow's been One Eye ever since, and who is he glad he's not one arm or one leg? And he finishes his nonsensical tale, full erupts into acerbic giggling. What happened to your face, Geraldo? Geraldo touches his stretched out countenance. Ah, this is a fine tradition that I myself brought to this world. You see, there's a way to tame the merciless passage of time. All you need is to find a young and healthy face, appropriate it, and attach it over your own fading skin. The local nobility eagerly took to this art of extending one's life and youth, and I, once a celestial lord myself, now promote this custom by personal example that may showcase its wonderful properties. A furrow appears on Heinrich's brow, but that is devoid of all sense. What is this? Some travesty of rejuvenant treatments? All the procedures I have heard of are far more complex and laborious. You put on other people's skin out of desire to look younger. You will declare this vile practice banned. Today. Oh. Geraldo looks confused for a few moments. Yes, of course, this very day. Celestial Highness. What kind of an address is that? That is what we call the highborn who come down to us in their wondrous vessels. Of course, I'm not a native of Thassera, and thus was once a celestial lord myself. I've grown used to the local customs, however, and so, I address you like any Thassarian would. Geraldo, I'm sure you know why we are here. Or not a Solomorn. Enough. According to Data Protocol Calixus Sigma UX 11-4, this Mu-class planet type feudal, estimate rating E874, with an assigned tithe grade of Solutio Extremis, has not provided its due tithe amount in full. You violated the Lex and are hereby under investigation. You are to present all related customs reports and shipping manifests. Immediately. The Proctor's voice carries no emotion, and Glodo silently bares his teeth, completing the image of the implacable hand of justice that has arrived with Thassera. I'm most flattered by your attention, esteemed Judicator, and by this opportunity to serve the Imperium with even greater dedication than before. Speaking of dedication, we are already conducting a thorough inspection to see which scribe it was that bungled the tithe calculation. Fear not, the scoundrel shall soon be. Excuses are the hallmark of the guilty. Do not make your situation worse, Governor. Geraldo clasps his hands together and says meekly, Of course, Master Judicator. I'll provide you with all the documents as soon as our internal review is complete. I assure you it won't take long, and the report itself will be exhaustive. I believe there is something else the esteemed Governor wished to say. Thank you, Your Celestial Highness. We know your journey here must have been an arduous one. As a sign of our appreciation, we prepared a veritable constellation of enjoyments in your honor. We humbly invite you to taste of our amasek along with our finest dishes, and may you likewise savor some of the local entertainment. One of the court ladies will accompany you, so as to not let even a single word or wish of yours linger without attention. A thin woman emerges into the torchlight, looking at you with a mixture of fear and awe. Her diminutive figure is practically drowning in her velvet and silk dress, and a resplendent necklace of blue stone adorns her neck. Maeve, my celestial lord, at your service. Solomon leans closer and says in a lowered voice, Based on my experience, I say we've been assigned a spy under pretense of generosity. But this is a good thing. We use this young woman as our source of information about the world. For now, it would be wise to play along and question her thoroughly once we are away from prying ears. Your face is your own. Why is that? Such loving masks are the privilege of the high nobility. I may not be a commoner, but to be entitled to a change of face, that is something I have yet to earn. Maeve casts a fascinated eye of the nobles whose faces, inasmuch as they are theirs, are stretched tight over their metal fixtures. Many have their mouths frozen in an unnatural smile, and it's hard to tell whether this is a consequence of the tightness or simply an eager show of delight. Look at this one. She's barely risen above the bottom, and already she shoots for the privileges of the top. Greedy hands are wont to get chopped off. You mentioned entertainment. Tell me more. Tideware the Scorched is hosting a public trial for a few guilty wretches today. I also overheard that the Council of the Thassarian Nobility was preparing a special gift for you. Besides those, a mechanical orchestra, the only one on Thassera, will be playing all evening. And of course, you also get to see the crowning jewel of Lord Geraldo's collection, his maimed, metal-harnessed beasts. Little beasties like to play. People are their favorite prey. Champ and chomp and munch and crunch. Look, it snapped your head away. Screams and tears and gore and more. Happy beastie, happy day. Now to the Servitor Orchestra. Fascinating. How did you manage to acquire something like that? Though at most only once in a generation, even Thassera receives visits from time to time, Your Celestial Highness. One day, an entire delegation from a foreign world arrived with these mechanical musicians in tow. We were immediately smitten with them. Sadly, our performers have now fallen into a sorry state. Thassera's humid air makes their preservation difficult, you see. We don't have a single crimson-clad holy man or woman left. All we can do now is offer up prayers of our own, burn oils, and do everything else the old writings say, even though we have no hope of understanding them. Judging by the stench, the servitors, or more specifically the parts of them made of flesh, will not last much longer. Slime oozes from rust holes, every other lifeless eye is adorned with cataracts, and their mouths are like corpse dumps filled with shards of rotten teeth. Every wrong note their instruments play is accompanied by the mournful screeching of servo motors and sparks flashing from dangling wires. I'm not going to take her necklace. Very well. I'd like to see what this place has to offer. I can tell by what I'm hearing that our executioner has already lit up the Phasmophorius, ready to give the condemned a warm welcome. Which means the governor's official whisper collector, that's me, has a whole lot of important business to get to. And so I must leave you now, good sirs and ladies, lest I miss out on a hot batch of juicy tales. I'm terribly pleased to meet you all, honored judicator. Bluffs grasps Salamor's hand, he gives a vigorous shake. Before he can even blink, the cybermastiff beside him sinks its teeth into Bluff's forearm, jerking it back and forth in a fury. The attack lasts only for a moment, but when Glader lets go, the foe's limb is already torn to shreds. With a cry of pain, Bluff leaps away and melts into the roiling crowd. Solomon ruffles Glader's neck and turns to you. Feudal worlds are rarely known for their bureaucratic precision. Reconnaissance on the ground will tell us more than any report hastily scribbled down by these blockheads. I suggest we attend this trial to see how the laws of this planet are enforced. We'll help the investigation. Yeah, never harm these people without my permission again, Salamorn. As you wish. However, I should warn you that sudden handshakes like that are considered tantamount to assaulting an arbitrator on duty. There are contact poisons out there that can kill you in a couple of heartbeats. Be on your guard, rogue trader. Festivals like these are ideal settings for assassinations. If it will help the investigation, we should not dally. I'm pleased to see that you prefer to continue our mission over all the idle pastimes of this world. Solomon looks at the crowd staring at you in wonder and trepidation. So, Celestial Lord, your coming is a historic event for these people. They'll be watching your every step. Your actions may well transform their lives on this underdeveloped world.
I always have a backup plan.
Celestial Lord, we've been waiting for you. This is our chapel, where we pray to the Emperor, holder of the key to all destinies. Bell in its tower can ring so loud, it makes your ears pop. Can't believe what I'm seeing. People from the stars walking on our planet. We thank you for your miracle, for without the stars' blessing, we are blind. The Chronicles of Fates, page 1. The Chronicles of Fates by Gregorius Fault, Chapter 1. Let these introductions enlighten all who walk in my footsteps. He that holdeth the key permits none but his most faithful to change their fates, and I, the eminent Gregorius Fault, have no right to fail him. This my present work will describe how a soul becomes purified and the rituals required to prepare it for its momentous turn of fate. These being things that any servant of his who intends to break the shackles of their former life will have to undergo.
I'll
swing this way
keep my
first.
options open.
Over there, that's the carriage the Celestial Lord drives around in the sky in. I heard it's chained to the firmament, and the Emperor himself lifts it up. The Chronicle of Fates, page 166. The Chronicle of Fates by Gregorius Fault, chapter 2. It befits any servant of his to thank daily the Emperor him that holdeth the key, the lot given them in life. As I have thanked him with my writings for thousands of moon lives, so too do I thank him now with the fetters that are preparing my soul for its new destiny. The rules of this service are simple. Day after day, I reverently carry with me the glass fetters, not daring to break them. Some believe that merely keeping them by one's bedside is enough to perform the sacrament. This is a lie, perpetuated by the slothful and the faint of heart. What a life, to own entire stars. To see people of such noble blood is the highest blessing.
Let us not dawdle.
Don't miss out. Buy it while it's fresh. That tower is even more ancient than the castle. They say the Emperor himself pulled it out of the ground along with the entire mountain range. I'll be telling my grandchildren about this one day. It's him, the world of the stars who descended on an iron bird.
Keep your wits about you.
You see Lady Noella's rotting face. No amount of whitener can fix that. They say the poor soul's been trying to cover her sores with lime wash, the kind they use for walls. Well, I don't feel sorry for her in the slightest. Everyone knows your face doesn't go bad unless your thoughts are impure, and your soul is full of vice. Ah, yes, of course. May I borrow your rouge? I've already read that one. Chronicles of Fates, page 380. The Chronicle of Fates by Gregorius Fault, chapter 3. The sacrament has been performed. I felt the cage open its gates. I felt him that holdeth the key open the lock of my body. At first I found it hard to breathe. It was as though the inside of my body was lined with vice that was not my own. In my mind's confusion, I cannot tell what moon life it is, or which chapter of this book I am presently writing. But the greatest one is all-knowing, and every turn of fate has been chosen by him in advance. Thus, if my new fate tries to resist me, I shall bring it to heel.
Rise to the top.
Sounds like they
or
believe
get
in
left
predestination.
the dust.
As you approach, the nobles bow gracefully. Their stone faces are wrapped tightly around their skulls, and their eyes gleam with earnest subservience. One dares to address you. O Celestial Lord, grace us with your regard. When my brother and I heard of your arrival, we immediately sought to surprise you with an exceptional gift. The ancient scrolls tell of a wonder, a mechanical sage by the name of Kajikor. It knows the answers to all questions, can make other machines do its bidding, and even predict the future. My brother and I have borne many a hardship, but we managed to acquire this magic contraption for our much-cherished guest. The box in front of you, presumably the Kajikor they speak of, exudes a strong odor of ritual oils. Made of thin planks, it is covered in so many purity seals that it seems to be held together by them alone. A stack of flimsy rough paper lies atop it, and there is a mica panel with malachite buttons attached to the front. A thin slit is visible among the buttons. Abelard sighs heavily and leans over to you. Sometimes when information reaches the more backward worlds, and undergoes strange metamorphoses in the minds of unfortunate and regrettably parochial laypeople. Have mercy, Lord Captain. They probably have been trying to please you. Heinrich shrugs. I see quite a few distortions of Gothic on primitive worlds, but I do not recall ever seeing such a miscomprehension of the Omnissiah's gifts. Listen to the sounds coming from the box. There's a barely audible breathing coming from the box. Whoever's inside wants very much not to be noticed. Better stalks toward the box and bares his fangs, while Solomon frowns grimly at the device. Really? Then again, what else could you expect from this ignorant world? There's something I wish to ask this Kajikor. If I may advise the Celestial Lord, in order to receive an answer, one should take a piece of paper and slide it into the hole here. Then touch the stone and ask the question loudly and clearly. Kajikor, what is the distance between Earth and sky? The sheet you offer is consumed with a speed beyond that of an ordinary autoquill. After a few moments, the sheet returns with a single notation. Lots. Kajikor, what does the future have in store for me? The sheet shoots back out of the box and falls to the ground. It bears a solemn inscription. Glory everlasting. Kajikor, answer only yes or no. Is your next answer going to be no? The miraculous device reluctantly accepts the offered paper and makes a vague moan-like sound. After a languid moment of waiting, you're presented with a sheet that reads, error, which most likely means error. Kajikor, what is the punishment for liars and frauds? The box holds the paper for a long time. When the sheet finally emerges from the slot, it is visibly shaking. You see the words, immolation, please don't. Solomon folds his arms and leans toward the slot, his voice ringing with steel. Machines cannot feel fear, Kajikor. They can only meekly accept their fate. Proctor catches your gaze and shrugs. I couldn't help myself. Enough questions for now. As you wish. Do not hesitate to pose more questions. There's enough ink for many more answers. Unseal the box and let this poor soul out at once. Who? What poor soul? I do not. The young nobleman addressing you withers under the scathing gaze of his partner. As you command, my celestial lord. Forgive us. We wish only to delight you by reproducing an otherworldly miracle we had read about in an ancient chronicle. You're nothing but a pair of dim-witted lickspittles, but mere stupidity hardly warrants an execution. Get out of my sight. We did not mean to offend. We only wish to please. Alright, I think I'm going to call it here.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
The enormous gate is locked fast.
Failure is just a temporary setback.
The horses neigh and glance at you with extreme curiosity. One of them snorts playfully. Alright, now I'm going to call it here, and next time we will continue exploring Thassera. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.